It all started on a warm Saturday morning, the kind of day when the sun breaks through the clouds after a long week of rain. My wife, Angela, was sitting on the porch with her service dog, Daisy, enjoying a cup of tea. Angela has been wheelchair-bound for the past 7 years after a car accident left her with severe spinal damage. Despite her disability, she remains one of the strongest and kindest souls I know. But that kindness, unfortunately, often paints a target on her back, especially for the self-appointed queen of our neighborhood, and what President everyone bitterly calls Karen. Karen thrived on power. She lived to nitpick everything from the color of your blinds to how many inches your trash bin sat from the curb. And for some reason, she had taken a particular dislike to Angela. Maybe it was the ramp I had built at the front of our house, something the HOA claimed ruined the aesthetic of the community. Maybe it was the fact that Angela had filed a complaint about accessibility in community spaces. Whatever it was, Karen decided Angela was her enemy, and she waged a quiet war that became louder and nastier as months went on. This war came to a boiling point one morning when Karen decided to escalate things in a way none of us expected. Angela had rolled down to the mailbox in her wheelchair, Daisy trotting faithfully at her side. She retrieved the mail and was turning back toward the house when Karen came storming across the street, holding a clipboard and wearing her oversized sunglasses like she was some sort of celebrity. "You're in violation again," she barked. "Your ramp is 2 inches too close to the sidewalk. It's against HOA policy." Angela, calm as ever, replied, "Karen, we've been over this. The ramp is ADA compliant. It was approved by the city inspector. You can't keep harassing me over this." But Karen wasn't interested in facts or compassion. Her lips curled into that smug smile I'd come to despise. "We'll see about that," she said. "If you won't comply, maybe the law can convince you." Angela didn't take the bait. She simply rolled back to the porch, set the mail on the table, and went back to her tea. But 20 minutes later, we both heard the sound of multiple car doors slamming outside. When I peeked through the blinds, my stomach dropped. 5 police cruisers had pulled up in front of our house. 5. For what? A wheelchair ramp. I rushed outside as the officers approached. "Can I help you, gentlemen?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. One of the officers said, "We got a call about a disturbance and potential code violations." His eyes darted toward Angela, who sat calmly on the porch with Daisy. "Are you serious?" I said. "A disturbance? She's drinking tea on her porch. What kind of disturbance is that?" From across the street, Karen stood with her phone out, recording, a smug grin plastered across her face. She wanted a scene. She wanted Angela to cry, to panic, to break down under the pressure of authority. But Angela didn't flinch. Instead, she raised her voice just enough for them to hear. "Officers, I appreciate you doing your job, but you should know I'm a disabled woman with full documentation of my rights under the ADA. I've also filed previous complaints against this HOA for harassment. If you're here because she called you," she gestured toward Karen, "then you're being used as pawns in a personal vendetta." The officers exchanged uneasy glances. They clearly realized this wasn't what they had been led to believe. Still, protocol made them linger, ask questions, and check IDs. For 30 minutes, they poked around, asked about the ramp, and even inspected the house exterior. I gave them everything they needed, and finally, one officer muttered, "Looks like everything checks out. Sorry for the inconvenience, ma'am." Angela nodded politely. "Thank you for your time." As they pulled away, Karen's face twisted in fury. Her plan had failed, but Angela had reached her breaking point. She turned to me and said quietly, "I've had enough of this." She thinks she can use intimidation and authority to scare me. Maybe it's time she learns what real community looks like. And that's when she made a call. Angela had friends, many friends, from a life before her accident. She had been deeply involved in charity rides and biker fundraisers, often volunteering with local motorcycle clubs that raised money for veterans, children's hospitals, and accident survivors. Even after her injury, those bikers never forgot her. To them, Angela was family. So she pulled out her phone, dialed a number, and explained what had just happened. "Karen sent 5 cops to my house to intimidate me over my wheelchair ramp," she said simply. "I'm tired of being bullied." The voice on the other end didn't hesitate. "Say no more, sister. We've got you." I didn't think much of it in the moment. Maybe a couple of bikers would swing by to check on her. But within 20 minutes, the distant thunder of engines filled the air. First 2, then 5, then 10. And then it grew louder, deeper, until the ground itself seemed to tremble. I stepped off the porch and looked down the street, and my jaw dropped. Over 100 Harleys rolled in like an iron wave, leather jackets gleaming in the sun, chrome shining, and the roar echoing through every corner of the neighborhood. They didn't come quietly. They came in force. Neighbors peeked out of windows, kids ran to the sidewalks with wide eyes, and even the officers who had just left turned their cruisers around in disbelief. At the center of it all was Angela's old friend, Big Mike, a 6'4" biker with a beard down to his chest and a heart of gold. He pulled up directly in front of our gate, cut his engine, and removed his helmet. "Angela," he boomed, his voice carrying over the rumble of still idling Harleys, "we heard you needed some backup." Karen, suddenly pale, dropped her phone and scurried backward like a frightened crab. Her smug smile was gone, replaced by wide-eyed panic. Angela smiled for the first time all morning. "Thanks for coming, Mike." Big Mike turned to the crowd of bikers. "This lady right here is family. And anybody who messes with family, messes with all of us." A cheer went up, engines revved, and the sound was deafening. The neighborhood vibrated with the sheer force of their presence. Karen clutched her clipboard like a shield and shouted over the noise, You can't do this. This is against HOA rules." Mike barked a laugh. "Lady, we don't answer to your little clipboard." The bikers didn't threaten violence, they didn't need to. Their presence alone was enough. They parked along the street, filling every available space, and set up camp right there in front of our house. Some brought grills, others brought folding chairs. Within an hour, what had begun as an intimidation attempt had turned into a full-blown block party in Angela's honor. Music played, burgers sizzled, and laughter filled the air. Neighbors who had quietly endured Karen's tyranny for years began joining in, relieved to see someone finally standing up to her. Karen tried everything. She called the police again, but when officers arrived and saw a peaceful gathering, they shrugged. "It's private property, ma'am. Nothing illegal going on here." She threatened fines, she waved her clipboard, she screamed until her face turned red. But nobody cared. Her power melted in the face of solidarity. That night, as the sun set and headlights flickered on, the bikers escorted Angela around the neighborhood in her wheelchair, forming a roaring convoy of chrome and leather. She smiled brighter than I'd seen in years, waving to neighbors as they clapped and cheered. By the next morning, Karen had barricaded herself inside her house, blinds drawn tight. She didn't dare step outside. And from that day forward, she never harassed Angela again. In fact, she resigned from the HOA within a month, claiming health reasons. But everyone knew the truth. What Karen never understood is that true power doesn't come from clipboards or titles or even police reports. It comes from community, from people who stand up for each other when it matters most. And on that unforgettable day, Angela learned she was far from alone. She was loved, she was respected, and she was protected by a thunderous family that could not be silenced.